factories into new things. For example, this red brick building here on your right. Today is known as the power plant. Does anybody want to take a wild guess as to what it used to be? Factory, yes. It was a power plant. So no trick questions on the tour, guys. Don't need to make you work too hard. It did in fact used to be a power plant. All your guesses were correct. But it does function as a gallery for modern art today, though. It's run by the Harbour Front Center. They run a lot of free workshops and events along the stretch, including this concert venue here. They have a summer concert series happening right now. You can go up there for some free concerts, also some free workshops, and they have camps happening. And just to the left of that, you start to see this spiny white footbridge with a hole in between it. There's a hole because there's a pier there. That's Pier 6. A lot of people who live out in the marina or in the islands like to park their boat here, especially if they work in the city. But you may recognize this bridge if you are a fan of romantic comedies, or specifically the movie My Big Fat Greek Wedding. Has anybody here seen it? 2 souls aboard have seen My Big Fat Greek Wedding. Well, this is for you. Tula and Ian shared their first kiss here on this bridge. This was the shooting location for it. So a very historical bridge indeed. It was given to us, this bridge actually was given to us by Amsterdam back when we split our 2 cities, and there is a Toronto bridge in Amsterdam. We didn't have to give them a bridge though. They have so many bridges there, we just renamed one of theirs that already existed. And right here we also see the Amsterdam Brew House, not a gift from Amsterdam, though that would have been pretty cool of them. This is just one of the top restaurants along the waterfront. I recommend going here after the tour for some food or some beer. They have a microbrewery here. They brew 13 unique kinds of beers. They're all very good. Just don't try all 13 at once. Right next door is a police station. But they wouldn't be able to do that much about land issues if you can see it. They are marine police, so they have these 7 high-speed police boats that cruise around the harbor. They do a few things, nothing too exciting. They're mostly towing boats, also patrolling boats for the speed limit, which is 10 knots. It was far more exciting than the police. Far more interesting, the CN Tower towering above it. Now it's sort of an awkward view right now. We can only see like the stem of the CN Tower. So I'm going to build some anticipation. Put a pin in the CN Tower. We'll come back to it second half of the tour when we have a beautiful skyline view of it. For now, I'll talk about its neighbor, the Rogers Center, this giant domed roof building. Anybody on board know what this used to be called? It's alright. It was the Skydome is correct, and a more appropriate name. A lot of true Torontonians still call it that, because it is just so much more appropriate. It's a giant dome that opens up to the sky. It was fitted with the world's first fully retractable roof, and I am specific about fully retractable roof, because a couple of years prior to the Rogers Center being built, Montreal tried to beat us. They tried to have a giant retractable roof. They retrofitted their Olympic Stadium to have a retractable roof, but once it opens, it did not close again. So ours is the world's first fully retractable roof, and also why ours is better. You can go to Rogers Center most days for Toronto Blue Jays games. Any fans? Yeah, someone with the Toronto Blue Jays shirt on saying no, I'm not a fan. Honestly, that's most Blue Jays fans. They'll have a Toronto Blue Jays suit on, they'll have a hat on, and they'll say, I'm not a fan. Did you guys go to see a game?
No, it's just a nice shirt.
Oh, it is a nice shirt. It's a good logo. They're fine. They've been doing alright actually this season, but as Canadian sports goes, there are free island here on your right. Any guesses as to why it is called Airport Island? There's an airport. See, no trick questions. Very easy questions on the harbor tour. This is the Billy Bishop Airport. Very small but mighty airport. It's actually the 12th most frequented in Canada. One of the first built in Canada as well. Named after Billy Bishop, who was a World War I fighter pilot. He was said to have gunned down 72 fighter planes, even though you only need to gun down about 1 or 2 to become an ace. He also survived to fight for World War II. They were the first Irish immigrants here, and they were the first people to live full-time here on the islands. Also, where this island gets its name, Hanlon's Point. Dan Hanlon is pretty notable in his own right. He was the first famous Canadian Olympian, first famous Canadian athlete who was a rower. And he actually pioneered a lot of rowing equipment. If you've ever been to the gym and you've used the sliding seat device, you have been Hanlon's made for that. He pioneered the rowing sliding seats. There's a movie you can watch about him actually. If you want to learn more, it's called The Boy in Blue. Stars a very young Nicolas Cage. For that reason, I would recommend only watching this movie if you have 2 hours to waste that you are ready to never get back. So I've heard this is a very, very poorly made bad movie. The Hammond family, when they arrived here in the 1820s, they were very entrepreneurial. They set up tons of stuff and it actually turned Hamlin's Point into Toronto's first ever entertainment district. In the 1880s, this place was bustling. You would come here and you would find jazz clubs, casinos, hotels, a circus, tons and tons of stuff. This made it a very popular destination for American tourists. The Hamlin's family set up a free ferry from Rochester, New York, to bring over Americans who were trying to escape their strict prohibition laws. This area was referred to the Coney Islands of the North. We had prohibition here in Canada, but it was provincial, so that meant each province had its own different way of doing things. For example, Quebec, they didn't care about it. They had prohibition for no longer than 3 years, and they decided it was stupid. Here in Ontario, though, we had 3 major loopholes. One, beer. We are a big exporter of beer. Since it's such a big export of ours, we decided we just keep exporting it, but surely we will not drink it ourselves. We'll just keep exporting it. But of course, that did not work out. I'm sure a lot of those kegs made it out of shipping containers and into the city. Another loophole we had was red wine for religious purposes. Suddenly, in the 20s, everybody got very religious. And lastly, American tourists like to take advantage of this option. You could get a whiskey prescription from your doctor. You go to your doctor with a headache, a toothache, someone called you a mean name, it didn't matter. You could get a giant bottle of whiskey for that. At one point, there was 40,000 whiskey prescriptions being given out a year, and at a time when Toronto's population was only 50,000. So that's well over 80%. There's a bunch of swans out here to the right. So these are new swans. You can tell because they have the orange beak. We actually got them in a trade with Britain. They gave us their beautiful, elegant swans, and guess what we gave them? Geese. We gave them Canadian geese. A very unfortunate trade for Britain. But these are actually monogamous species, so you can see they often travel in pairs. There's another kind of swan here in the islands, actually called the trumpeter swan. They have a black beak. They're called that because they make the sound that Miles Davis makes in his songs. Joking. They're also, for any baseball fans in the audience, are there any actually? No, you know what? I don't even go bother with this story. Basically, Babe Ruth hit his first professional home run right here at Hamlin's Point. And that ball worked out to maybe worth $1 million, but it's of course dissolved. It went into the water. All these white boats here on your left, by the way, this is the Toronto Island Yacht Club. This is a pretty exclusive yacht club. It's a private island. There is one person who lives on this island, but sorry, I should have corrected myself. It's not a person, it's actually a peacock. It's an escaped convict peacock from the Center Island Petting Zoo. He managed to get over here to Mugs Island, and they were looking. His name is Conrad, by the way. The Toronto Zoo employees were looking for him. Eventually found that he was being fed and housed by the Toronto Island Yacht Club members, so now he just lives here full time. If you see him, let me know. Or be looping back around Mugs Island. Please keep a lookout. It's the only time I tolerate a very big interruption of the tour. I've never seen him. I'd love to see him. But Toronto Island Yacht Club actually has a pretty fun tradition. They like to name their boats after the people's profession, who owns them. So, for example, there's a boat called Turbulence, owned by a pilot. There's a boat called Stress Free, owned by a divorce attorney. There is a boat that is owned by a couple. It is a therapist and a proctologist. Their boat is called Heads or Tails. So it's a fun game to play to look at all the names, try to figure out what they do for a living.
Hey, Trayvon, this is Harbour's on mine.
Another thing I'll tell you about the islands is initially, even before the Hamlin family came around here, all this land was being occupied by indigenous populations. They were using it for a place of resting and recuperation, a place. Take a second to take in this view. I'll hop off the mic for a few minutes. I'll come around, help you guys take some pictures if you like, and we'll get back to the tour very shortly.
Oh no, it's safe. I want to be on water. Careful, Jocelyn.
We're going to see those red grandstands over there that are perfect for watching boat races. This channel of water is very long and straight, called Long Pond, for the purposes of boat racing. There's also the Manitou Bridge, one of the oldest structures on the islands. Also the highest ground point on the islands. There's tons to do here on Center Island. This is probably the most popular day trip spot. There's a beach, there's also kayak, canoe rentals, bike rentals, as well as an amusement park for kids called Centerville. It's very fun. They have log rides, they've got games. There's also food. There's your basic chain stuff like Subway and Pizza, but also a lot of locally owned island restaurants. Restaurants is generous. They're mostly pubs. There also is festivals that happen out here. There's the Festival of India. There's also a lot of boat festivals. We have the Dominion Day Regatta. Also, we have like a Viking boat racing competition. There's also the Scandinavian wife carrying competition, which no longer happens, but it was a very funny tradition. Basically, you would come out here, do an obstacle course while carrying your. There is actually a third way you can live on the islands, though, but it's not in a above ground house. It is in a houseboat. Here on your right, you can see the Toronto Island Marina. This is Toronto's largest houseboat community. These boxy structures are in fact boats. They have pontoons attached. It's pretty affordable to live out here. It can be about $700, $800 depending on the size of your boat. And you have electricity, running water, cable, Wi-Fi, all the essentials. Of course, you can only live here in the summer months because in the winter this all freezes. A few things people like to do is use this blue marine lift to lift boats out of the water, the rest of them on the shore, or install bubblers to their boats. It's a fan that keeps the water moving to prevent it from freezing. Some perks of living in the marina is that you actually have your very own marina restaurant called the Upper Deck. If any of you go out to Center Island, I'd recommend putting the Upper Deck into your Google Maps and going there instead of all the other island places because it's very good, it's very affordable, and also the patio overlooks the skyline. It's a great place to go. And as we've been traveling throughout the islands, you may notice lots of sandbags lined all around. These aren't for decoration, these are to prevent flooding. A lot of these sandbags you see here, especially on the right, they're left over from the floods a couple years ago. Just a few minutes, we're going to be speeding up the boats. We're going to be making a right turn onto a 10-minute extended skyline view. So if you didn't get a good skyline view photo at the last stop, you've got lots of time. While we're doing that, I'll take a break, come around.